And then the crew, everybody hit the deck, and I was the only one standing next to the wheel.
And you're driving this, 160-foot vessel with the sails up. I don't think you'd been to sailing school.
No, I'd missed that section of my training.
And it must be...
I remember you screaming from the boat far, far away, going, "Closer to us, come closer to us."
We had to do that drive-by, close drive-by.
Yeah.
Captain Brad.
What an amazing group of people. Incredible group of people.
They brought that ship, that's the Lady Washington out of Seattle, and they brought that vessel. We went up and saw the ship. They brought it to LA. We painted it, added a few things. Brian Morris, designed it as the Interceptor. And Derek Hill and the guys painted it up nicely. And they brought it all. They'd never been out of Puget Sound, the ship, ever.
Good Lord.
And they brought it down to LA. And then we shot for a little bit, and then we sent them off to the Caribbean. So we'll meet you in the Caribbean in 60 days.
And the Panama Canal.
That's the adventure. I mean, these guys, they do these reenactments, but they're the real thing, They really sailed that, and they broke a mast, and they ended up in Colombia doing repairs, and I just remember getting emails from these guys, and they've got some footage, and it should be on the DVD, that's just outrageous.
Yeah, what's fantastic also is that they keep that old school thing, the captain is the captain.
Sorry interrupting by my dad.
The first mate is the first mate. They bark out the commands, everybody repeats the commands. It was really...
We had a great team of advisors.
Yeah.
When I was a kid and I went to this ride, I don't know if it was part of your upbringing, but for me, we used to drive up to San Diego and go to the Pirates of the Caribbean, and it kind of freaked me out. I mean, to be honest with you, as a 6-year-old, it was like scary and funny.
Yeah.
And if there's anything to take from the ride, I think it's that.
Yeah,
combination
absolutely.
of,
Jack, feeling lucky.
Oh, man. Interesting, Jerry would always laugh at the slaps. Like, it tells you something about him. But we would sit and screening after screening, and we've seen it 100 times, myself and the editor and 4 other guys. And there's nothing in the movie that's funny to us anymore. We ground the thing to a pulp, so we'd watch it, and slap would come. It would break out laughing. Every time. I'm not quite sure what that says.
This was an interesting night. The waiting for the pigs to settle down.
Yes.
Wasn't there one giant one at a certain point?
Yeah, they hijacked the production. The pigs, we'll have to come back. They need their rest.
Yeah.
It's like, what? We had to reshift everything over to the bar scene, come back 3 hours later at 4 and the sun's rising, and then sneak. Kevin would have to sneak up next to them so that he was there, ready for the first splash.
Yeah, I remember the whole thing, doing the sticks really low and...
Don't wait, the pigs. I love about Kevin too, though. I think when his character enters the movie, there's that. I can't think of anybody better to kind of tell us the backstory.
No, because you had that kind of sea turtles. It was it was one of those nights,
Exactly. You're waiting for the little warbly dissolve.
Right.
He's phenomenal.
Gilligan's Island kind of thing.
Totally. And there's a whole ending of this that's probably going to be in the deleted scenes section where picks over the table. What a stick, isn't he?
It was a fun night.
All this stuff you do with your...
Mr. Subtle. With breaking his neck to show him.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Eric really, just lit the whole scene with candles. I mean, there's like candles burning your beard.
Yeah.
Your dingles.
Is the Barry Lyndon approach.
Yeah, I mean, they're just everywhere. It's nice.
The film really moves. That's it. The one thing I really, really noticed, because you're in shock when you watch this thing for the first time. I mean, I was. The film really moves nicely.
A lot of stories to tell, especially in this section. It's all, of exposition.
Yeah, there's a ton of subplots. And,
try to keep it interesting. It's really tricky, but I love, and Mackenzie, these guys. I mean, they're just Pintel and Rigetti. there's that kind of the Wild Bunch and all the, even the old pirate movies, they were allowed those kind of peripheral characters to really have a whole story. Like,
Yeah.
And you almost couldn't trust the movie because it might just suddenly follow them.
Yeah.
And it's those character players, you know, that were on contract, and you could just bring them into shows. It's like a vampire, you know, seeing blood.
He's just arrived.
I felt like, you know.
Wasn't this like the first day of shooting? Or
Yeah, it was the first day of shooting. And everything's on wires and moving around the ship. Really, you know, he really just wants to watch her eat because he can't taste. And when he finally goes for the apple, it's like he's had his whole plan to, like, but he can't wait any longer. You know, after 2 bites, he's immediately going for the apple.
It's poisoned.
Oh, he's so good.
And he just wears you down as a director. I mean, just calls you. And it's his love of what he does that is the reason. But he just calls you on the weekend and home, stuff on. I was thinking about this line. You know, it's like I'm in the supermarket, you know, or whatever. Looking at the frozen peas section. It's like Jeffrey Rush. Yeah, I was working on this one line, and I was thinking, he's just, he's really into, and that's why it was great to have Ted and Terry on, because at some point, you know, I had to go off and make the movie, and we'd have a discussion, and then you know, they're like the wordsmiths.
Yeah.
So they just carve out, you know, a better way of saying this, or a better way of saying that. And they were really open to kind of all of you. What was nice is, you know, the ad-libs weren't really, I mean, all the stuff that you were doing and Jeffrey's doing, that's really in the scene, all of that performance. It's, you know, a shift to the eyes, a longer pause here, or a moment, or kind of double take. But most of the ad-libs I found were, you know, 2 days before the scene or day before the scene, those guys would write them in. You know, a lot of the stuff ended up on the page because, you know, you would pitch it, or we would talk about it. And I was thinking about saying this, and they were like, great, and then we just put it in.
Incorporating everything, you know.
And then the stuff that they didn't like, we just did it anyway.
Well, I remember there were moments when we
You'd get the look from Ted. I'm sure that, you know, yeah, I was thinking of calling him a eunuch. I don't think that one ended up in the script.
No, they didn't put that on the page. And then when I did it again in the later scene with Barbosa.
Oh, that wasn't even worth discussing. We were telling me, and it was like, yeah, let's just get it in there. The snip somewhere else too.
That was there.
Yeah.
No, as a matter of fact, you're right. That was somewhere else. Yeah, because I wanted to say to Orlando something about having a lovely singing voice.
No, but that's there.
No, but to Orlando, I was going to say something like, it wasn't the lovely singing voice. It was going to be the, did it hurt? You know, did what hurt? Yeah. You know, snip. Well, there's always the sequel.
My bad for interrupted.
He just look at me like, why? Why does he just make fun of me? Does he really think that, or is it?
So shocking, though. I mean, to see it.
Great, yeah. And what's great is you see Pintel and Righetti, you see the faces of these guys. I mean, retaining the performance.
Yeah.
In a CGI character was so essential. You know, shooting all this stuff with the real actors, and then holding the animators, you know, Hal and John at ILM, holding them to those performances. They're really good about that. I think they really would study the actor's performance and kind of take everything from it, you know. Really, you can tell who's who. You know, the thing about skeletons is so
totally
quickly you just
yeah.
kind of go, what? Who's that guy? And they all sound like people in spacesuits on the moon or something. You know, if they don't have a number 2 on their back, you know, you hear voices, you don't know who's talking. This scene with Jeffrey, you know, we actually meant about keeping his eyes, because it's the one thing. You can take a sphere and put a glint in it and make a highlight and put flesh around it on a computer, but it's hard to convey a thought